The problem is the stupidity of this Labour government and a mayor that won't stand up for Londoners. It is clear that the national insurance contribution rise is losing jobs across the capital. It isn't just affecting the hospitality industry, it is affecting the police. It is affecting everybody in London that wants to go out and make a living for their family. Blaming that on Brexit is lazy. You know it is part of this Labour government that has made the wrong...
What just happened at London City Hall shocked even seasoned Assembly members. In a heated London Assembly clash, Emma Best directly confronts Mayor Sadiq Khan over collapsing hospitality businesses, soaring national insurance contributions, rising alcohol duty, and a housing market crisis spiralling out of control. But this debate quickly turns explosive, with accusations over Brexit, economic mismanagement, public spending, and a £22 billion deficit dominating the chamber. Is London's economy being crushed by government tax hikes? Are business rates, national insurance rises, and housing failures pushing the capital to breaking point? And why does this exchange escalate into one of the most tense knockabout moments in recent Assembly history? You'll want to watch this until the very end, because what's said in the final minutes completely reframes the argument. If you care about transparency, economic policy, small businesses, housing, or the future of London, share this video, like it, and subscribe. Information matters, especially when political pressure tries to control the narrative. Stay with us.
Thank you, and Happy New Year, Mr. Mayor. The hospitality and pub industry in the capital is on its knees, and so surely one of your biggest regrets is 2025, is that you stood by and said nothing whilst the national insurance contribution rise led to 100,000 job losses in the sector, mainly affecting young people. You also said nothing when the Chancellor raised alcohol duty against an unofficial statistic as well, instead of CPI, which meant that those rises next month will be 50% higher than they should have been. Will you at least make clear that you want the government's U-turn on the business rates, which they also made clear they didn't understand when they inflicted them? Will you make sure that you support that U-turn should apply to everyone in the hospitality industry across restaurants and bars as well as pubs?
Richard, I'm keen not to go backwards and have a knock about the past, but I support the point she's making about the support all hospitality needs, not just pubs. It's really persuasive when you speak to not just publicans but those in hospitality about the cost of doing business. And I think one of the jobs of governments is to support them rather than be a problem. And so I can give her that assurance that one of our lobbying asks of the government is not simply to support the pubs, important though that is, but support wider hospitality as well.
Thank you. I would be concerned slightly that I think the support that you had, the fact that you don't want to, that support has only come now, and that you didn't actually want to go and have a knockabout because you know those things are indefensible and you know there's no.
I'm more than happy, Chair, now to get involved in the knockabout if she wants. Look, you can't escape the fact that when interest rates go through the roof because of Liz Truss's stupid
that's not true.
Budget, and you've got businesses who are struggling. So, when you have a hard Brexit, that leads to a lot of your staff leaving London and going back to country of origin. I mean, what's knockabout, Chair?
I think you referred to
I said you don't want to have a knockabout, and I was about to ask a question, and then you let the Mayor speak. Anyway, Mr. Mayor, the idea that the hospitality losses is nothing to do with the national insurance rise, though, that's clearly not true, is it? Will you support going back and asking the government to re-look at that?
Well, I try not to be political, but I will be political now. Look, you've got a situation where we had a pandemic that exacerbated the challenges that hospitality faced because of the stupidity of a hard Brexit. This hard Brexit meant many Londoners, originally from France or Germany or Romania or Poland or Spain or Portugal, integral to the success of our businesses, left London.
Mr. Mayor, the problem
is
the stupidity of this Labour government and a mayor that won't stand up for Londoners. It is clear that the national insurance contribution rise is losing jobs across the capital. It isn't just affecting the hospitality industry, it is affecting the police. It is affecting everybody in London that wants to go out and make a living for their family. Blaming that on Brexit is lazy. You know it is part of this Labour government that has made the wrong decisions, and you will still not stand up for London.
Well, maybe the member can explain why there was a deficit to the tune of £22 billion on July the 5th. A number of explanations for that massive deficit. Some of it's because of the interest the previous government's paying on debt accrued. Some of it's because of the consequences of a flatlining economy.
Mr. Mayor, I suggest that you go and look at the figures of these last 2 years and what this government has managed to do to our economy in 2 years. They have crashed it. They have taken it from the worst points of the pandemic and taken it even further into the ground. Look at the statistics of what this government has done.
Let the Mayor finish his question.
I thought you wanted a knockabout. You were about a knockabout. You were all good for the Mayor to have it, so let me have my knockabout then.
You can have another bit of knockabout. I'm going to add a bit more time on for you to have a knockabout. But, Mr. Mayor, can you finish answering the question in the way that you want to answer it, and then Assembly Member Best will come back?
You answer the question in the way you want to answer it, so let him say whatever he wants, and then but you'll interrupt me.
No, that's unfair. That's unfair. Let the Mayor answer the question. You come back. How you use your time is up to you. How the Mayor answers his question is up to him.
Well, apparently not, because you're intervening on me, but not the Mayor.
No, carry on, Mr. Mayor. We'll see what we do about the clock. OK.
So the government's got a choice. They've got to close this £22 billion deficit. And there are ostensibly two ways to close the deficit. You can reduce services, cut services, that reduces your expenditure, or you can raise revenues, which brings the money that comes in. And the government's done a bit of both of those things in reducing some of the services, service provision, people are unhappy about that, and also raising revenues. One way they've raised revenues is by an increase in national insurance contributions. None of us likes paying more taxes or national insurance. None of us likes seeing a reduction in public services. But if the government don't get on top of the deficit, don't be surprised if the markets mean we're paying more in interest, which means rather than either providing public services or tax cuts, we're having money leaving our country by going to interest rate repayments. I don't want that to happen.
Mr. Mayor, isn't it funny now you seem to have an understanding of basic economics that you didn't have 5 minutes previous, because you seem to now understand that we have to pay for things like the NHS, we have to pay for free school meals, we have to pay for defence, when you were just arguing before that all these things really are free. This all comes from taxpayers' monies. This is real decisions the government has to make, and at the moment they're putting that on the hospitality industry, which is on its knees. So I'm glad for your support for business rates. I look forward to more support on the national insurance. Thank you.
Assembly Member McCartney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too regret TfL's decision to close Southgate Station. I've been making representations to them, including ideas such as entry only in the morning and exit only in the evening, but that seems to be too difficult for them. So I'm glad you're going to ask for a review. Could you ask them to look at all options that would mean that this station actually serves local people?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to do so. And can I just say, look, I'm sorry I've not got the briefing. Now, I'm more than happy not just to provide the information, but also the challenge you provided to look again on a pragmatic basis they can do. And I'll take on board both of the representations made and get back to both colleagues sooner rather than later. And ask TfL also to get back to both colleagues sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
Member Lord Bailey.
Thank you, Chair. Happy New Year, Mr. Mayor. Do you regret that house building in London has collapsed completely over the past year, with a 73% reduction in new housing starts across London? Do you agree with me that stamp duty for primary residents should be abolished in order to help free up the housing market and get development moving?
Happy New Year as well. I see what's collapsed is Mayor's question time. We get all 25 questions in the first one. It's weird. And so look, can I thank you for the questions and his greetings, and it's lovely to see him back at Mayor's question time. I do regret the crisis in the housing market across the country, housing sector across the country. It breaks my heart that there aren't enough homes being completed for those families in waiting lists and so forth. He gives one example of a stimulus that I understand why he talks as this is a way to stimulate the market in terms of encouraging people to buy. Clearly, if you're not paying stamp duty, you are encouraged to buy. I've just been lectured by his colleague to his left about the cost of public services. And so I suggest he speaks to her about the revenues the government would lose by stamp duty being cut, and then asks his colleague on his left which public services he'd like to cut as a consequence of that revenue being lost to the Treasury.
I think my colleague was referring to the fact that if you could get a market going, it would pay. Things need to be paid for. If we're going to pay for anything, housing would probably be the one that most people would pick. Look, do you think dedicated support for first-time buyers would be a good thing? It's been done before. It's stimulated the market. We need to do something different. Would you support some of that?
Look, I'm a homeowner. I'm blessed to be a homeowner, and I understand the aspiration people have to be homeowners. There are 2.7 million Londoners renting privately, and I think we've got to think about everyone in terms of housing needs. I want more council housing to be built to provide secure, affordable, good quality homes for Londoners. I want affordable homes to be built for rent and for purchase, and I want homes to be built that people can afford to buy as well. There are different views about whether Help to Buy schemes help. I think generally my anecdotal experience as an MP and a mayor is they do support first-time buyers, because that's that little bit of help you get in terms of that really makes a difference, getting over the hurdle of affordability. So I would like to look. I would like us to look in the round what more we can do to fulfill that dream of those first-time buyers. But understanding the context, which is we've got a housing crisis with 2.7 million people living in private accommodation, and we need to really build more affordable homes.
But of course, that would ease that crisis when we all agree that there's a crisis. I'm now talking about ways that would ease that, and we're asking for you to support them. For instance, would you help with support for renters' rental history to be taken into account when they're applying for mortgages for lowering their cost of credit in general? Because again, that would get more people into the housing market and relieve the rental market slightly.
I think that question shows his experience speaking to Londoners. He's spot on. Many Londoners rent for years and years and years and are good tenants and pay on time and all the rest of it, and it's not taken into account in terms of credit history when it comes to borrowing for a big mortgage. I'd also like mortgage companies to be more dexterous about the amount they lend, about, for example, can you give a mortgage for homes on plan? One of the reasons why foreign investors buy off-plan property is you can't get a mortgage as a Brit to buy that property off-plan, and there's an issue of cash flow for developers in the way the phasing works. So there's a number of changes that can be made. My understanding is the government working with MHT looking into all these sorts of issues, and if there's a proper consultation, we're more than happy to respond, because he's spot on. There are a number of things we can do, small things that make a big difference.
Let me finish by saying this, Mayor. I wrote a report called Get London Building. I recommend it to you for bedtime reading. It is filled with the things that you could actually do, building on land that you can actually own. We're at the point now where we need to do something counter-cyclical and make a push for London.
Can I apologise? I've not read the report yet. I'll read it and stuff. And I think this cross-party working to address an issue that affects the city we love is what I'd like to see. Let me take it away and read it. Not at bedtime, but other times during the day. Thank you.
Chair.
If you believe this conversation must not be silenced, make sure you like this video, share it everywhere, and subscribe.